Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a seriously fascinating journey right back to the roots of the web. I know, it's super tempting to just immediately jump into complex, flashy frameworks like React or Angular, right? But here's the thing. To truly build robust, resilient web applications, you've absolutely got to master the core technologies first. So let's dive right in and solidify our understanding of the foundational trio, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First up, the web developer's city. Then we'll talk zoning with semantic HTML, compare Flexbox versus CSS Grid, unpack the document object model, and wrap it all up with the HTML first philosophy. Let's get moving.
Section 1. The web developer's city.
To really grasp how these web technologies interact, it actually helps to think of web development exactly like building a house. We have a strict separation of concerns here. Think of HTML as the structure. It's your bricks, your wood, the actual layout of the rooms, like framing out a two-bedroom, two-bathroom house. Then you have CSS, which is all about the styling and design. It's the paint on the walls, the landscaping, the interior decoration. And finally, JavaScript is the functionality. It represents what you can actually do inside that house, like eating, sleeping, or hitting a button to open the garage door. By keeping these completely separate, deciding to change your paint color doesn't accidentally knock down a load-bearing wall.
So, how do we actually wire these completely separate pieces together to build our digital house? Honestly, it's remarkably straightforward. Step 1 is just creating your distinct HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files in the same directory. Step 2, to bring in your design, you just add a simple link tag pointing to your CSS file right inside the head section of your HTML document. And then, step 3, to add that functionality, you drop a script tag pointing to your JS file right before the closing body tag. And boom, just like that, you've perfectly connected structure, style, and logic.
Section 2. Zoning with semantic HTML.
Now that our files are talking to each other, how do we actually structure them? Well, in the early days of the web, developers used to group content pretty arbitrarily. In a non-semantic approach, you'll see things like generic div or span containers. Sure, they hold content, but they give you absolutely zero clue about what that content actually is. But then we have the modern semantic approach. Semantic HTML uses meaningful tags that describe the exact nature of the content inside them. It's basically the difference between labeling a moving box with the word stuff versus labeling it kitchen utensils. One is just way more helpful, right?
This dreadfully common practice of wrapping everything in a generic container is known in the developer world as div soup. Everything is just a div with a class name attached to it. And yeah, a human might be able to read that class name and kind of guess its purpose, but the browser and assistive technologies, they are completely blind to that context. Relying entirely on generic divs literally strips all the inherent structural meaning away from your code.
But think about the elegant alternative. Instead of a messy soup of generic tags, we can use crisp, descriptive tags like header, main, and footer. This is exactly how you properly zone your web page's structure. By simply glancing at the code, both developers and web browsers immediately understand that the header contains your intro content, the main tag holds the core meat of the page, and the footer wraps it all up with contact details or copyrights. It just makes so much sense. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that semantic HTML isn't just about making your code look pretty for your fellow developers, it has massive, real-world impacts. For starters, it's a non-negotiable foundational requirement for accessibility. It allows screen readers to accurately navigate and describe your page to visually impaired users. On top of that, search engines heavily prioritize well-structured semantic content, which is going to boost your SEO rankings. And finally, it just makes your code incredibly easy to maintain and future-proofs it for however browsers decide to render pages down the line. It's a total win-win. Section 3. Flexbox versus CSS Grid. All right, once our semantic zones are defined, we have to arrange them visually. And honestly, choosing the right tool for layout is half the battle in modern web design. We've got two main heavy hitters. First, we have Flexbox. Flexbox is explicitly designed for one-dimensional layouts. It excels at distributing space along a single axis, so either a single row or a single column. On the flip side, we have CSS Grid, which is an absolute two-dimensional powerhouse. Grid lets you work with both rows and columns at the exact same time, giving you total control over items in a complex matrix. To make this perfectly practical for you, here is exactly when you should reach for each of these tools. Go with Flexbox when you're building smaller UI components. Think navigation bars, aligning a row of social buttons, or neatly distributing content inside a single profile card.
But you're going to want to reach for CSS Grid when you are architecting the macro structure of your site. We're talking designing entire page layouts, building intricate image galleries, or setting up really complex application dashboards.
Section 4. The Document Object Model.
Okay, so we've got our structure built and our elements styled beautifully. Now we need to breathe some life into the page. What actually happens when a web browser loads up your HTML? Well, it translates that text into what's called the Document Object Model, or the DOM. In simple terms, the DOM is an object-oriented, tree-like representation of your page that lives right in the computer's memory. It's this vital, hidden bridge that allows your JavaScript code to actually see and interact with those static HTML elements you just wrote.
And the DOM grants some serious superpowers to your JavaScript. Because of this interface, your JS can add, change, or completely delete HTML elements on the fly. It can dynamically alter CSS styles based on exactly what the user is doing. And most importantly, it allows the browser to react to user events like clicks, mouse hovers, and keyboard inputs, or even let you create entirely custom events from scratch. This right here is the engine behind literally every interactive web application you use today.
Section 5, the HTML First Philosophy.
Now, we're bringing it all full circle with the HTML First movement. This is driven by a core tenet beautifully captured in a quote from our sources: apply the principle of least power. So, what does that actually mean? It means that, as developers, we should favor solving problems starting with the absolute simplest technology first. You begin with plain HTML markup. If that's not quite enough to get the job done, then you move to CSS rules. And only when it's absolutely necessary do you start writing custom JavaScript.
HTML First is all about encouraging developers to leverage the incredible power that native browsers already have built right in. It suggests preferring vanilla or plain code over dragging in heavy external frameworks whenever you possibly can. Because look, by minimizing complex client-side state, we drastically reduce bugs. By staying close to the core web standards, we retain that classic ability to easily right-click and view source to debug our code. And a huge part of this is leveraging powerful native elements that have been added to HTML over the years. For instance, you can use the details and summary tags to create a fully foldable, clickable menu without writing a single line of JavaScript. How cool is that? Ultimately, relying on native platform capabilities leads to faster, highly maintainable, and deeply resilient web applications. So I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative final thought as we wrap up this explainer today. Before you spend months trying to learn the absolute latest complex framework, have you truly mastered the browser yet? Take the time to solidify your understanding of semantic HTML, layout systems like Grid and Flexbox, and the sheer power of the DOM. You might just find that the web platform itself is the most powerful framework you have. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.